Okay, hopefully. There you go. Now I found out that I was on mute all that time, so that's good. Now that we're testing all this technology, I'll have to cut that bit off the front. So we're going to start with this series called the Spiritual Arsenal series. It's about an hour long that we'll sit together today and practice for the first few minutes. As usual, we begin with a prayer. We like to give you some tools for your practice and no fluff. And let's see if we can get ourselves situated. We'll sit for 10 minutes or so in the beginnings. Then we learn a little bit of something, some tools that you can take into your spiritual practice. And then we'll sit again for another longer, more in-depth practice. Like we like to start a little slow and then go a little deeper as we go into the session. And then we'll wrap up for the day, and hopefully you'll have come out on the other end feeling differently than you did when you started, more free, more calm, more empowered, better off for your life. So let's sit. The prayer I have for our day, we're in the is that we are able to become free from the limiting beliefs that we have, from the limiting beliefs that we've maybe been taught or taught ourselves, or the stories that we tell ourselves, so that we can have a little bit more ease in our lives and walk through with more peace and wisdom and calm, and bring more of that into not only our own lives but to the rest of the world. So, if you're here for the first time, share it with a friend, because this is an amazing practice for anybody who really wants to get their Jewish spiritual journey continuing, and who's been meditating for maybe a long time or maybe never before, but always been interested, but didn't have the Jewish way in. So that here we are. So let's sit. We'll sit for a few minutes, for 7 minutes, and I will guide you every step of the way. You just listen. It Most people like to listen with headphones, so I recommend that for you too. Good. So listening, tuning into our senses one by one, listening to your environment around you, and feeling your body. If you have a tough time noticing what you feel, bring your attention to the place where your body meets the floor beneath you. And that could be a chair or a couch or a bed or a cushion. And feel the pressure of your body meeting the ground. Maybe you can feel a slight tingle, warmth. And today we'll leave our attention with our seat, or the part of us that's meeting the ground. And, of course, our minds will wander. pull us away. Maybe the mind won't pull you, but a sound or a smell. And your job as a meditator today is just to gently bring your attention back when your attention has pulled away. Simple as that. Each time you notice your attention pull towards a thought, bring it back. It helps to take a stance of curiosity. How is the sensation? Is it varied? Is it deep? Or shallow? Warm or cool? Pleasant? Neutral? Unpleasant? And when your attention pulls you away again, bring it back. If you're a long time meditator and your breath feels like home to you, go there first. And then redirect yourself back. To the sensation again. On your own for the next minute until you hear the bell. Very good. Just take a deep breath. Might want to stretch. Oh. mm. Oh, okay. So here we are. There you go. So if you were on the call that we did with JMCTX last week, then you already got the content of this Passover holiday and how to in- intensify, increase, make it deeper, make the experience more spiritual. And one of the ways that we've been talking about, and I've been actually working diligently on at home, is this concept of the holiday tells us go clean the house, basically. More or less, it's saying go sweep the house and make sure you find all the crumbs and really kind of caretake the house. The idea of this story in the Jewish context is in this time of year, we don't want to keep the leavening of the bread, the breadcrumbs, all the little bits of snacks and things like that in our house, in our possession, even in our sight, even. We want to get the crumbs out. And this brings a lot of people anxiety. I think that I'm not the only one who gets anxious about that. If you talk to many Jewish people who are trying to keep their house, prepare their house in that way for the Passover holiday, they would tell you that they get anxiety from it. And you wouldn't be the only one. And I think, look, there's a way to get anxious about it, of course, especially when you feel the sense of the world is coming down on you and you got to get it done by X day. And if you don't do it by the time Passover begins, then, I don't know what, maybe the sky will fall down or I don't know what. And you wouldn't feel maybe like it was fully the day. Maybe that's enough. Or the week wouldn't be fully the week as if you hadn't had that anxiety or done the cleaning perfectly well or to your own standards. But I think that what I want to talk about today, I want to use today's session to talk about the spiritual arsenal. I want to talk about how important this concept is. I want to deepen that concept, but I also want to take it a step further. So deepening and taking it a step further and its own kind of standalone concept. So with a holiday, with Passover, there's the truth is, you noticed it too in your house, probably. Many of us notice this. When our surroundings are clean and orderly, maybe whether that's our desk or that's our room or that's the closet or whatever, the living room or the kitchen, all the above. When those things are clean and prepared, it gives us our home, our space. When our pantry, when our fridge, when things are clean and orderly and prepared, it's not just that it gives us a sense of satisfaction from uh like the fact that it's a job well done. There's also a sense of that cleanliness or that orderliness also then impacting us internally. That's how I feel. And I don't think I'm the only one. So whether you have somebody who's helping you do that and you bring in somebody to help clean up or vacuum and mop and wipe and do all those things and scrub, or you're doing it yourself, I think that the end effect of living in a clean environment, clean and orderly environment, I think actually has a spiritual impact on us and the way that we are able to enjoy ourselves, able to settle in, able to be clear headed, not just in the space. That's the first piece I wanted to start from last time's discussion and then continue on and deepen through this concept of chop wood, carry water. And I'm going to put that over. I'm going to say chop wood. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can do it. I'm so excited if this works. I'm going to be so pumped. Show. Oh, did it do it? Chop wood, carry water. Yo! So you can see, chop wood, carry water is a very important aspect of what we do. So the chop wood, carry water, what is that? First, I want to give a shout out. I know that uh, I know I today I want to make sure that because we're using this concept, I want to give credit where credit is due. This is something that I learned from two primary teachers of mine. One has been a recent pandemic teacher who I've actually never met quite yet. I'm excited to eventually. I know that we'll meet eventually. I trust that we will meet eventually. And this is the Reverend Erwin McManus. That's number one, who's inspired me through this concept. But he would talk about it as sharpening a blade. So it's a little bit of a different concept. But he also said chop wood. And then another one is a dear friend of mine, Randy. So you'll remain anonymous until you're ready for it to say more about yourself. But I'll say just Randy. We talk about this a lot in our discussions about chop wood, carry water kind of tasks. What's chop wood, carry water? So I think chop wood, carry water at the most basic level is we have, in order to live, in order to be fed, in order to keep we lost audio. Oh, are we working again? Okay, I think we're working. We're back. So in order to get those keep the lights on, warm the house, literally sometimes in some places where people have to actually chop wood. I love this Alaska TV shows where they live out in the bush and they're 100 miles from the nearest range station or fueling depot or whatever, and they have to go out with their saw and chop wood, or an axe and chop a tree down and then chop it into parts so that they can burn it for fuel, for keeping the house warm enough, for being able to cook and process different foods. So it's a chop wood, for some people literally, and carry water. And for some people literally, they need to go down to the lake, cut, if it's freezing, they cut a hole in the lake and they drag some water, or if it's summer and spring, they can get a bucket and bring it into the house to be able to drink. And maybe they need to boil it with the wood, in order for it to be safe for them to drink. So this is important. These are important things. And I think that I have this issue where I think that, and it's so easy to slip into this. So I'm not trying to make it's not a blame game here. It's just, just saying this is a reality of the spiritual practice, that we get into a mode sometimes where we forget quite, how lucky we are, and that we need to actually keep doing these things. And it's not a matter of how we feel or what our mood is like, or it's not a matter of spiritual enlightenment or not. Whether you're, and this is a great saying my grandma says. She says, as long as you're alive, there's dishes and laundry. And it's the same concept. It's saying chop wood, carry water. These are basics. You want to be alive, you got to eat. That means that you have to have dishes of some sort, right? And if you're not eating out every single day, and then uh, and if you're gonna wear clothes repeatedly, if you're gonna wear the same clothes over and over, probably after a few times of wearing it, you're gonna need to wash it, unless you plan on buying new clothes every time you want to get dressed. It's not good or bad, right? It's just facts. It's just that is part of the system of how things are. And yeah, we can make things easier or harder based on lots of factors, right? But based on how much work you have to do personally, and if you can get people to help you, and what you're capable of, and what your relationship dynamic it looks like, all of those things are variable. But whether you one way or another, these things need to get done, right? And that, I think, that's part of spiritual maturity. That's why I'm calling it part of the spiritual arsenal, is because part of the spiritual maturity is to recognize the difficulty inherent in the grind of those things, because they don't let up. There's no let up on those things. There's more and less of it, but it's there all the time. It doesn't matter what. So whether you're doing it or someone else is doing it, it has to happen. Otherwise, the world doesn't keep moving around and around. That's how it's kind of, things will just break apart. So the part of the spiritual maturity is to then know ahead of time, oh, right, this this is the kind of thing that is not going to be ever an end to it. And so you could feel trapped with that, of course. I think that there are times when I certainly feel trapped by that. And I think that's normal. It's natural. It's just part of the rhythm. It's just like, I just need a break, I need a break. And you should take breaks. Yeah. Okay. Good. And from time to time, take a break, of course, but also, this is just how it is. It is how it is. Dishes and laundry, chop wood, carry water. So here's the spiritual nugget from in there that I think is helping, will help, is a tool to help us be free, to help us feel freer. Don't try to push against chop wood, carry water. I'm not preaching from on high. I'm telling you what I'm working on in my own practice as a concept that I've been working with for some time now. How would it be different for me to do all of the chores and the things that need to get done, or even to hire somebody or find the proper channel, make sense in my life for those things to get done, so that my space, my surroundings will be clean and orderly, but not in such a way that I am grumpy and bitter and embittered. And we know that feeling. I'm not the only one. How do we get there without all of that? So I want to share just a bit of a story. This is a story that I love. It's I don't know if I want to. So it's okay. Here's the story. The story is on retreat. On retreat, let's we do these shifts, work shifts. So it's not every retreat that does this, but many of the retreats I've been on, you sign up for what is called your work shift, your contribution to the community, some group level thing. That's something that you do, either whether that's cleaning toilets, whether that's clearing trash cans, whether that's chopping vegetables, or whether that's sauteing onions, or whether that's doing the dishes or cooking or whatever, or tidying up the communal hall, the communal space, sweeping floors, mopping. There's lots of little tasks that need to be done in order to keep up a place that everyone, multiple or dozens of people are living in all at once, all together. And my job was always, and not always, but almost every time I go to these retreats, my job is something in the dishwash, or collect all the dishes, or I don't think I've done any vegetable chopping yet. Not that I couldn't. Mopping, sweeping, wiping tables. I've done all those kinds of things. What we're talking about: chop wood, carry water, and it's a half hour to an hour slot of time where that's what you're doing. You're not talking to anybody. You might get some instructions from a chef telling you, okay, I need you to do X, Y, or Z, but that's it. You go about doing your work until it's done, and nobody checks in on you, and nobody, it's up to you. If you just didn't do it, you blew it off, somebody probably else would pick up the slack at some point. Probably, or not. But that's it. You do that work for as many days as you're on retreat. For that hour, you're doing the work. That's how it goes. And I love that time. On retreat, I love that time. And yet, when I get home, to do that same 1 hour of cleaning or mopping or sweeping or whatever it is, might feel like more than a chore, more than chop wood, carry water. It might feel like a burden, when it doesn't really feel that way on retreat. On retreat, it feels like, oh, I'm beautifying this space. It's a sense of accomplishment, of look how nice the floor is now that there's not so many crumbs on it, or that all the tables in the hall are wiped down after having crumbs and food and sauce and whatever, things that people are eating, and it gets messy. And the tables, the chairs are all pushed in, and it's just right, and it looks shining and beautiful. And to feel the accomplishment of doing that somehow is a similar feeling to what happens when you do it at home too. But there's an opportunity there that I think I will learn from Norman Fisher, who taught me this early in the pandemic. He said, when you're doing dishes, just do dishes. Just do the dishes. Or when you're mopping, just mop. And feel the water on your hands, and notice the temperature, and notice the feeling of the dish and the soap and the interaction, and how it cleans off with enough water, and feel your body. Be intentional and use that chop wood, carry water time in your life as part of your spiritual practice. Use that time not to just numb out and do, but to practice, noticing again and again what it actually feels like, what it actually entails, what mental process you need to focus on for the task. And notice when your mind, just like in any other meditation, notice when your mind pulls you forward into the future. Notice when your mind pulls you backwards into some repeat conversation of a conversation you want to have differently next time. Or when you're having a fantasy and you're pulled away, or whatever is going on for you, notice it. And then bring yourself back to the task. You see, the meditations, we talk about this all the time, but the meditations themselves are not it. It's not all there is. The meditations themselves are there to help you then use that same tool and apply it on your life. That's what the Spiritual Arsenal series is teaching. It's teaching you how to take the tool we learn and practice in our almost like a lab setting. We close our eyes, we sit in somewhere quiet, we do a practice, and then we come back, and hopefully we're stronger in the practice of returning our attention to what it is we want to do, to our intention, our attention to our intention. And then we take the practice out off the cushion, into the kitchen, into the living room, into the bedroom, everywhere, so that we could pay attention. In the classroom, in the boardroom, we're paying attention everywhere we go. Into the laundry room, into the grocery store, into the restaurant, the dating app. Some of our people are single. So the point is just, this is another part of that. And start to play with the ways you too are approaching your spiritual practice, maybe from a different angle. So today's practice will be a little different than our normal meditation. And then I'm going to invite you to set yourself a timer for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes or even up to half an hour. And decide which task you want to do in your house, in your space. Do I want to mop? Do I need to scrub a toilet? Do I need to sweep and then mop? Apparently that's a good order. Do I want to vacuum? Do I want to just reorganize a desk and clear it off? One space in the house, one table in the house, and just spend those 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes doing that task until it's over, until that time has passed. And then if you want to come back and finish it later, you can come back and finish it later in another chunk of time. Or you can decide at the 20-minute mark or whenever you've set it to, oh, you know what? I'm going to keep going. I'm on a roll here. I'm rolling here. Let me finish this. And see how that works. See what it's like to apply the practice to your life. To chop wood, carry water, to do the laundry and the dishes, to feel it, to do it fully, to be present. Over and over, anytime you get distracted, bringing your attention back. So please, that's your homework. It's an invitation to practice. And for those who are looking to continue their practice, continue learning, deepening in this way, share with a friend. Come on back, visit us. And we give a free class once a month, at least once a month. And then sessions like this you can subscribe to. You can become part of a membership to get these two of these a month, which is an incredible value. And if you can make it to the live calls, even better. But otherwise, it'll be recorded for you and accessible to you. And you'll be part of a community of people who are working on the same skill set, who have been maybe a little bit further down the road. Maybe you're a little further down the road than them. And each of us can help each other, one another, to grow as we grow together. So I'll leave us with a blessing, a prayer that our time, that the words that I've shared help bring you closer to your own ability to deepen your own practice, to clear up your own space, both externally and internally, to learn to readjust the way that you relate to the basics of life and living as part of the spiritual practice, as not a deterrent or not in the way of and not outside of, but part of the walk of showing up in this world and being able to take all of the richness of the moment, every moment that we're given, to feel at peace and at ease, to feel strong and supported, and know that even if it is difficult for you at times, it's totally normal. And it's just a little shift that we can do for ourselves or have our partners remind us, keep us accountable, to remember to really enjoy the sweetness of life, to really see our practice, not just on the cushion, but in our life, as all one thing. Remember, y'all, big things start small. www.ravariel.com. Come on by, get your free few weeks in there. Come on, just do this for yourself. This is how we grow. We invest in ourselves. Invest in yourself. We're here. We're ready to do it. God bless you. And we'll see y'all soon.